On today's show, Andrey joins me to talk about my experiences with babyraids, groups going major, the ham sandwich phenomenon, and whether or not I'd ever go see AKB again. Welcome to Aidol Talk. So you watched the videos though, right? Had you seen the videos before?
I've seen, like, I saw them on TV, and as I understand now, maybe that was their sort of newest like stuff, because I saw them a couple times and I wasn't like, it doesn't look that interesting to me.
The new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the new stuff. Okay, no offense to babyraids, or I keep saying babyraids. It's actually babyraids Japan, but I just say babyraids because it's so much easier.
Why Japan? Is there another?
It was. Here's the thing, man. Here's one thing that happens a lot. Okay, you have indie idol groups. They're going along. They're going along. They get big enough to where some bigger agency or bigger record label says, hey, look, this is a group that we could take to the next level. Let's make them go major, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they make them go major, they always do something different to change it up a little bit, whether it's changing their name or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it has something to do with like not wanting to get sued, and because like I remember there was a group that I really loved, really super popular. Okay, in the underground scene, they were called Love Snake. There's Love Snake, and there's a snake, and I thought it was funny, but people were like, snake is like penis, right? And I was like, no, what? Love penis?
What?
So like penis is, I don't know. So anyways, okay. so I went to they had a one-man live, they were super, everyone was like, woo, yeah, I still have video from that one-man live. We went, and I was great, and then halfway through the show, they're like, so we're disbanding. And everyone's like, what? Because everyone, it's a big celebration. It's supposed to be their big one-man live, and now they're telling us they're disbanding. And they're like, but don't worry, we're going to come back. We're going to have a major debut. We're going to be called Zen Roku Girl Nana 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 Nana. So which is Full Power Girl 7777. And they changed their name, and they came out, and the music was like, the music becomes a lot more. This goes back to the whole like wanting, like when you're an indie idol, when you can make that crazy like brownie, right? Or cookie.
Yeah.
You can make that crazy cookie. You can stuff jalapenos in it. You can put all sorts of pecans and walnuts and marshmallow sauce or whatever you want, But when you get to a certain point and you want to, now they're like, hey, we want to sell. When they go major, it's like, I want to sell as many records as possible. So we need to target the mainstream audience. And this is why I feel like a lot of their music has gone very like inspirational music.
Like let's see what's trending now and let's play safe.
Which is terrible. Which is, I've liked when they first changed, and the same thing happened with babyraids. I mentioned it in the video, but I went to their one-man live in the Budokan, which is like supposed to be is one of the like the check marks of like growing up and becoming a big group, is that you perform in Budokan, and they did. And I went, and again halfway through the show, they're like, "Hey, so we just got to tell you, babyraids is no more." And everyone was like, what? And I wasn't sure because my Japanese is not the greatest. But I was like, did she just say that the babyraids is no more? I was like, I can't believe this is happening again. Another group is just hit their milestone, and they're going to tell me they're going to disband. And he says, we are now babyraids Japan. And I was like, oh my. I was like, what a fucking stupid thing to do. So now they're babyraids Japan, and then like the first 2-3 singles they released, you can look at it, man. Like Manotsu dyed her hair, Takami cut her hair even shorter and started wearing a beanie, and she always has a hat now. Like she was wearing a beanie for a while, then she has like a cowboy hat for a while. I don't know, Rio Tone, who has always been kind of like the goofy one, at one point she was wearing like tube tops and stuff. I don't know. I mean, that's where their management. Okay, so I'll give you another example of another group that was very, very popular in underground, and then they went major, and like look at their like image change, their image shift, everything, and that's the group. Oh God, I'm blanking on it now. They Maho no Juice. They sing Maho no Juice They are
No.
called. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna have to edit all this out because that's sucks. They are called. They just came out with this like something umbrella under umbrella. Ah, shit. I'm singing the song in my head. I cannot think of this damn thing. I'm going down my list of MP3s right now, trying to find their name.
It's the same. It's the same with like every Korean pop group you showed me.
Really?
Yeah, remember like those boy bands?
Yeah.
They
Oh
were.
yeah. But that yeah. I mean, I don't know what that's.
It's kind of like that.
No, yeah, I get it. But like with these, with the indie idol groups, there's this specific like line where it's like, oh, they change record labels. Now they're completely. This is that group is like a sister group to like Dempa Gumi kind of. I cannot remember this damn name for the life of me. But yeah, so I mean, that I don't. If you okay, so the first time I ever came across this really was when I was listening to Otsuka Ai. I don't know if you're familiar with Otsuka Ai. She was a soloist. Yeah. If you look at her early stuff, she did stuff like Smiley and Happy Days. It's just all cute and like kind of fun, and you know, like the cuteness is the selling point.
Is that the girl who did Sakurambo?
Sakurambo, exactly. That's her first major breakout single, right? Tashi Sakurambo, don't. Right? It's all cute. And then if you look at her later stuff, like what was it? The one where she went to Taiwan to shoot the music video? Frenger is the. It got to the point where, I mean, she was like dyeing her hair. All her videos were weird. You know, it hits that one. I don't know what the thought process is, but it seems like this universal like, hey, we're gonna flip the switch now, and now we're gonna be like Big Bang is gonna be like, you know, we're gonna have these crazy plastic attachments onto her face with hoses running out to it. Let's have a ponytail and half-shaven head, and the ponytail is gonna run all the way down and then like be attached to our belt buckle. It's like, what the fuck? What is all this shit?
Let's all be Lady Gaga like.
Yeah, no, I mean it seems like that's like what. And this is long before Lady Gaga, like you said, Korean pop, like H.O.T. was like that, you know. Originally, they were like these fun, fun-loving teenagers, very colorful and bright. And then, like at one point, they had like long, literally like 9-inch metal nails with like sweeping comb-over hair and stuff. I don't know why that is. Maybe if they keep doing the same thing, they won't sell anymore. Maybe, but I mean, I don't know if it's the case that they always want to like change things up so they don't get stale, because I don't think that's the case, because I don't think they give it enough time to get to that point. But and it's funny to think too, because I don't know if you like watch AKB, but I mean AKB kind of went through that for a little bit, you know. They wanted to get to this crazy thing, and then they got to this crazy thing, and then they just kind of Moso Calibration. I finally found it. I had to go all the way down my list, but I hit it. If you go watch early Moso Calibration stuff, it's really like cutesy, and you know, Akiba Idol and Denpa, and then like now if you look at their like new stuff, like they have I forgot this song's called, like Under Umbrella and Chin Chin Pui, and then their new one is what's their new one? It's like Gold Fight or something like that. I forget what it's called. The CD cover is all gold and has like gold. It looks like they would be from a Up Girls like cover, which is completely different than what they used to be. I mean, look at it. Just look at it. It's completely different than what their original stuff is, and the music videos. Oh my gosh, I can send you that old early music video stuff is great. But again, I don't know. Do we want to get in this conversation? Because I mentioned it on the show too about babyraids, about how, and I've mentioned this a couple times in the past about how like it's basically that. Look, when they're nobodies, right? They're indie idols. Nobody gives a shit about them because you can go see them anytime you want, right? Oh, you want to go see AKB at the theater? Huh? They're not selling out their tickets, so nobody gives a shit, you know. And it's not till they get a name and everyone's like, oh, who's that AKB? Who's that babyraids? Oh, everyone's going to see him. There's this very like, you know, in culture, in just society, there's this very like, oh, they're somebody like I care about them now, you know, and it goes with, you know, celebrities and music and all that kind of stuff. So like now, like when I go to these indie idols, there's not like people there's not like people saving spaces and stuff. People go, they show up for the idols they want. It's they see them all the time, so they always push like people who don't get to see them. If they see you're new, they'll push you to the front, or they won't like jock for position. You know?
Yeah.
There's
cool.
none of that with indie idols. But then like and the one time I went to this huge, it was this really huge venue. It's Zepp Diver City. And Babyraids was there with a lot of other groups. They were there with Paspo. They were there with Dempagumi, and at the time Otome Shinto, and the Babyraids crowd was all young kids. These were all high school boys. Like they were jumping around. People were getting. I had a friend there who had brought 2 light sticks, and he put them in his back pocket. And at the end of the show, he's like, "Fuck! I dropped my light sticks. I don't know where they are." Because we were just getting tossed around. And, like, most people were like, oh, dude. I think most people had to kind of, like, well, the friends I went with were kind of like, it's a little too rowdy for me, you know?
This doesn't sound like an Idol concert.
I mean, well, yeah. Some Idol concerts. There's some Idol concerts that are specifically like that. I'd say, like, Bish is like that and stuff like. But, yeah, I think my friends were more like, I don't know. That seems a little bit too wild. But for me, I was like, great. Because, look, I'm kind of a big guy, and, like, that's fine. People push around. There's more chances I'm going to hurt somebody than somebody's going to hurt me, you know?
Yeah.
I just got to keep my head above. Because the danger for me is that people swinging their arms or swinging their light sticks, swinging their elbows is going to catch me in the face. That's my biggest, like, worry. You know, or a random knee is going to catch me in the crotch. Those are my 2 big things. So when I jump around, I basically put my arms at my side, cover my balls, and just kind of like, as a tall stick, bounce around among people. I'm not really going to hurt anybody. I remember I was at a concert, this is Rhineberry, and like that's the first time I've ever lost my footing. And it's just because so many people there, and everyone was running around, and I tripped. Like I stepped on somebody must have stepped over on somebody's foot, and they went down. And once they go down, and they start all sliding over, there's nowhere for you to catch or grab. And I just went down, and I was like, oh, God, somebody is going to get squished under me. And I remember I fell down, but, like, everybody was like, come on, get him up. And everybody just helped everybody up, and nobody got hurt. It was great, man. At the end of that show, too, we were all leaving. I just found this random shoe on the floor. I just picked up the shoe. I held it up because I'm real tall. And I was just like, I held it up, and eventually this girl walked up to me and was like, hey, that's my shoe. And I was like, here you go. I handed her shoe. She's like, thanks a lot. I was like, no problem. And she just took off. You know, it was great, man. But anyways, Babyraids, that was a really, really great show. I mean, it was a little bit rowdy. It was early on in my, like, idol career, so I wasn't really used to, like, that kind of stuff. Now I'm totally fine. But at the time, I did feel a little bit like, I don't know if I can, you know, if I'm really going to be into this or not. But then I remember going home and thinking about it, like, dude, that was awesome. And the second time I went to Babyraids was at their Budokan, and that was really fun, too. Because the thing is, you have to imagine, like, when you get bigger, like, when a little indie idol group, everybody knows what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be as complicated, as involved as you want, because it's a small group of people, like 30, 50, 100 people. They go to all the shows, they learn all the moves. They're always going, you know? But when you get to a big venue, like, you know, Tokyo Dome, Yokohama, even Budokan, you have so many people there. When you go mainstream, like, you can't be that complicated, which is why this is one of the reasons why I'm not super, like, into going to, like, AKB Dome concerts, because everybody who goes just goes woohoo, or, you know, like, oh, you know, they don't really do. It's not as complicated. It's a very like general chant, because everybody has
like
to
all inclusive.
Yeah, all inclusive. Everybody has to be. You can't do all the crazy, like, Myoho Tosuke. You know, you can't do all this crazy shit that they do. You know. But when I went to Budokan, I was surprised at, like, the entire arena was like knew everything, just all the complicated little stuff. Because if you're not a fan of the group and you go to a show, you can get the general, like, thing that every group kind of follows, so you can kind of pick it up. But the more complicated groups, you're going to be left behind, because you're not sure how to. Oh, where's the variations? Where does this happen? Where does that happen? Oh, they elongate this point. They don't, you know, or they shorten it at this point. And that's what I love. That's what I love about going to these shows. And when I went to Budokan, it was great, because you look around, there's, like, this cute girl next to us, like, she's definitely in high school. or early college, and then you got the Wodas over there to the left, and then you got like some older people like behind me, and I was just like, look at this weird, crazy, like collection of weird people, and all of them are like doing the baby raid stuff like great,
Yeah.
It's great. It was really, really great. But then like after that, I saw baby raids twice after their like when they became baby raids Japan, and both times after that, I was just. It was a point where there was this group of people, like 5 or 6 or 7 people, and they came in and they blocked the front row, like right next to the stage. Okay, and this baby raids wasn't going on until like the 7th or 8th person in, So I was there from the first because there's this group called Ultra Girl, and I was super into them, and they were like the second group on. So like I was jumping around for Ultra Girl, and I was like, oh look, these people are standing up in the front, but they're not like jumping around, they're not getting excited, they're not really interested, they're just kind of like, bobbing their heads and kind of watching the front, and then like sometimes one person would leave, I guess, to go to the bathroom or get a drink, and they'd all kind of shuffle over and like set out their elbows, and then there were times when people would run to the front and try to do the catcher at the front. Right. They'd run to the front and you try to. That's the thing. You run to the front, you do the catcher, and then you go back to your spot. And every time they would go up there to do the catcher, they would sit there and start like shoving their elbows back, trying to push the guy back to get him off the front. Some otas, which I love, some otas are crazy and they don't care. Like they let their like full fandom go crazy. So they're like, fuck it, if you're gonna push him down, that's fine. But I'm gonna jump on your back and climb up there for that 2 seconds, even if you're gonna push me down. So that's what it became. This big. I was just watching it firsthand. There was this huge struggle of like Ultra Girl got off, and this group called L Float came on, and the same thing happened. So like they were all pushing and shoving and trying to get, like indie idol wodas don't do that because they like, again, nobody cares about their group. So they just, hey, you want to see this group? Come on in, join the party, and then they do their thing and then they're gone. They're not trying to monopolize time or, So that group of like 6 or 7 people like stood at the front for the entire show until baby raids came on. And then they had during baby raids they were jumping, they were doing their stuff, and as soon as baby raids finished, they all left. And it sucked because they were like monopolizing that front part the entire time, like to the point where I almost went up there and like said something to them, like, dude, y'all guys need to like chill with that shit, man. Stop elbowing people. Nobody's trying to take your spot. You can, when baby raids comes on, you can go have their spot. Go ahead, but whatever. And then I saw them later too, and I'm sure they were there for baby raids because baby raids were doing handshakes upstairs, and they ended up being up there, and like they had all the stuff for baby raids. They had gone to like they had a line for that if you had gone to a previous concert, you actually got some sort of special reward handshake or something like that. And they, of course, all of them had it, and it was like an older lady and like 2 high school kids, and it was just weird. Oh, and another thing, one of those guys had long hair, and he kept tying it up into like a top knot. So like his top knot would be sticking straight up like right over his head. It was annoying because you just tie it back. Why would you make it so that's above your head and even more like harder to see over you? It's just it's annoying. Whatever. That's my conversation about baby raids and why. We'll see what happens with J-Pop Summit. I almost want to say I hope none of them come. But, I want more people to come because I want it to be rowdy and wild and crazy at this concert. That's what I always like. I always prefer it to be louder. So I'm hoping that, maybe maybe the good fans will come or, because definitely coming to America is going to limit a lot of people from being able to come. But, I mean, also Baby Raids is a pretty big group. So I could foresee a pretty large portion of Japanese fans coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see how bad it is.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to talk to them. Hopefully we'll meet some good people. Hopefully I don't see those people because I remember their faces clear as day. If I see those guys there, man, we're probably going to get in a fight because then they better not try to pull that shit at San Francisco.
At your home, basically.
Huh? No, it's not my home, but I mean, I just want to get everybody. If I can get everybody together, oh my gosh, that's my dream. It's always been my dream to kind of lead not a concert, but like lead a show and lead a like get everybody together. Like for all the best people, all the best wotas I've met in Japan have always been super inclusive, and they always want to get other people involved. So there's this one guy named Yoshi, and he was he's like he was one of the big lolis in Yoshinori, I think is and he was one of the big lolis in Wodas, and always he like got everybody involved. And when Lolisin came to America, they all came to America. Him and two other guys, and they like, you know, they know what to do. They go to all the shows, and so they're able to lead, and they're very confident in their ability because they know it's not like a confident like I'm a badass. It's confident. It's like, oh, okay, well, I know what's next, and they take it upon their responsibility to say, hey, look, it's part of. I have to help to make this show as lively as possible, the fans to get the most of it, because if they do, they'll potentially become fans of this group because they had a good time. So there's always like that, and I always want to, it's not that I want to do it because I want to be Mr. Badass. I just want to do it because I want to be part of that help, and you know, and I can't do that in Japan because there's always somebody who knows better than me. So when groups come to Japan, that's when when come to America, that's when I'm like, oh man, like, oh, David, you have to do this because if you don't do it, no one's going to do it. And it feels like you want to make sure everybody has a good time. Oh, by the way, Momoyuro Clover did the same thing too. Momoyuro Clover, and then all of a sudden, what happened? They became Momoyuro Clover Z, right? They changed, you know. So there's always that little change, unless you straight up go immediately straight up. You're a group that's already major, you know. Like for instance, like Cheeky Parade or Supergirls or World Standard, you know, or Gem. They're all mainstream AVEX.
The thing should be like pretty interesting topic to maybe some video or whatever. This kind of not selling out, but at least those changes.
Yeah, I mean, in American terms, it's selling out, right? In American terms, it's like, oh, you were a great band and you sold out, and you know. But I mean, there's not. The problem is everybody has their own idea of success and what is legitimate.
Yeah.
But okay, so I remember in high school I knew this guy, and he ended up becoming a lawyer, I think, and he worked in the entertainment industry, and he ran into a band. What was their name? Oh shit! There's I forget what the band's name is. I don't want to say. I don't think it's Good Charlotte, but it was another one of those bands that were kind of like at the time. And kind of like a little bit emo, but not. It's not Panic at the Disco. It's another one. What's the other one? That's anyway. So he ended up at like a bar, like a nightclub, like all hanging out and talking to him. And like one of the members was like, "I know people don't take us seriously, and we're not like we're kind of this joke, and we're not like seen as real musicians, you know." But he was like, "So what? I mean, like I'm making a bunch of money doing this, and I enjoy it, you know." He's like, not everybody has to be like the Beatles, right? Not every group has to be, let me be this, you know, legitimate, the best of the best musician. Let me be, what's that group from Canada with Neil Peart? I can't remember any name today. Jesus. You know, like, you know, not every group wants to be, you know, some people just want to do this and have fun. And if they can make some money doing it, you know. I mean, because a lot of times people think, oh, they're all writing their own songs. No, you got producers and shit behind it, you know, that know much more than these bands, and the bands are just the facial piece. They're the piece, they're the image, because these old guys can't do it themselves. Oh, that's another video that I want to get into too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you watch you watch? Had you seen those 3 babyraids PVs before?
I haven't seen any of those.
Okay, but you saw some of the newer stuff, right? Like Echo Sunrise or.
I saw it. I saw it like on TV, like just like maybe 30 seconds clip.
Well, which one of the old ones?
No, of some new stuff.
I mean, the new stuff is pretty like vanilla.
Yeah. It wasn't this upbeat, like major stuff.
Oh my gosh, Tora Tiger's so good.
Yeah, I just watched it.
Koi Waponic. Really, I mean, like this, it's just crazy stuff, man. And it's all crazy stuff everywhere, and you know that was like the high point. They just could not do any wrong at the time.
And it sucks because if I saw this Tora Tiger video, I would be their fan from the minute I saw it.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have some good songs now. They have some good songs. The PVs are pretty boring. And you know what's the shitty thing is that Baby Raids is managed by this group called Less Pro. I think they do, what's the girl from the Amachan? There's a bunch of other artists that like movie stars and stuff that they manage, and so Baby Raids is their like idol group is Less Pro. So all of the original Baby Raids PV was on the Less Pro YouTube channel. It was specifically on there, and it was always free to watch, and you could watch it. And then when Tora Tora Tiger came out, they started uploading them to the Pony Canyon being the record label.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were all on Pony Canyon at one time too, maybe. But I mean, I specifically remember Tora Tora Tiger came out. I watched the music video on Pony Canyon, and then the YouTube Red thing came out. And then YouTube Red came out, and like all the Japanese YouTube channels got blocked in America. So like you all of a sudden couldn't watch it anymore, and I couldn't watch Tora Tora Tiger anymore because it was on Pony Canyon, and all the Pony Canyon like videos were blocked. And I don't know when they unblocked them, but recently they unblocked them. Within the last, got to be when the last like year and a half or 2 years, or 6 months or so, you know, it's because that's kind of what got me to make this post, is that I you know, when Baby Raids was announced, I was like, oh, let me go. It sucks. Tiger's not going to be able to be watched. Let me see what videos are watchable. And then it popped up, and I was like, wait a minute, I guess they unblocked it. Tora, oh, man, so good. Yeah, I mean, when I guess another anecdote is when I was leaving Zep Diver City, the first time I saw Baby Raids, they had Baby Raids by the exit. Baby Raids had a table set up on the way out. Anybody who's leaving the venue, Baby Raids was lined up behind a table. Like, as you were walking out of the venue, you had to pass by them. And, like, they were all, like, you know, basically giving people free handshakes who walked up to them, you know? And, like, Takami, which is the short girl, she's kind of the crazy one. She was, like, reaching over the table trying to grab as many people as she could. That's, again, at the time, I guess nobody really cared about them, so whatever. It was very easy to go meet them and see them, and those were the days, man. Those were the days. That's why I love the indie idol scene, dude. It's so fun because it's never about like their popularity. You find a group, you like the members, you like the music, and you just have a good time, you know? If you want to meet them, great. If you don't want to meet them, you don't have to, you know? It never gets to the whole like this desperate
music industry.
Yeah, it never gets to this desperate struggle of like. So I was backstage at like one of the AKB events, right? This was when the KFC Koi Suda Fortune Cookie thing happened, and I was like backstage at Tokyo Dome. And like, don't get me wrong, I like the AKB members, and fine, but like there's this phenomenon that goes on in the Idol fandom. Sorry, I don't want to say AKB fandom, but I'll say Idol fandom. There's this phenomenon that goes on, and I want to call it the ham sandwich phenomenon. That's what I've referred to it with a couple friends already, so I'm going to keep going with that. So here's the thing: there's this big thing. It's like I was back there. We were all they had all of us participants standing like in a corner, and then like AKB had finished their set, and they were all walking down. So here comes Matsui Jurina. Here comes I forget. It was on this side, so it's not everybody, but like Jurina came down, Miyawaki Sakura came down. And then everybody was just kind of waving at them, and it sucks for the girls because they basically they have to acknowledge everybody basically, right? They're not going to walk if they walk by and don't wave. Everyone would be like, what a bunch of bitches. So they have to play nice to everybody. So they walk down, and everyone's being very, very like respectful. Like, hey, we're backstage. We're somewhere that normal people aren't supposed to be, so we're not going to, these AKB members are shuffling by. And then all of a sudden, Kashiwagi Yuki comes down, right? And everybody loses their shit because it's Kashi fucking Wagi Yuki, and they can't contain themselves. So one person like walks up, and is like, Yuki! And just walks right up to her and waves at her and like, almost wants to like shake her hand, and then everybody else just bomb rushes forward, and like there's this crowd of people like walking up to Kashiwagi Yuki now.
Yeah.
And like for me, I was standing back, and I'm like, holy shit, there's Maida Ami. Like I don't care about Kashiwagi Yuki, so why? I just sat. I've been like around these kind of backstage things before, so I was like, look, David, I've always been very like, look, don't encroach. There's always a certain level that I want to like not. There's a line. It's like Batman, right? There's a line you won't cross, and I'm a fan, but I'm never going to become one of those fans that like crosses the line. No matter how big of a fan I am, I just won't cross that line. So, you know, I stood back and I just watched as everybody, like, you know, approached Kashiwagi and lost their shit. And, like, when I say, so the whole point is, like, the ham sandwich phenomenon I'm talking about is, like, for some reason I see a lot of people, like, oh gosh, you met Kashiwagi Yugi? Oh my god, I'm so jealous. That's not fair. I can't believe you got that opportunity. And like, the thing is, do you care about Kashiwagi that much? Do you really do? Okay, if you do, that's fine. Great. You can be jealous. You can be a little bit resentful even. But, like, I've seen people get, like, upset about, like, fans meeting members that they really didn't even give a shit about. Yeah. But just, oh, he has a ham sandwich? Well, I want a ham sandwich. But it's like, do you like ham? No. Then why the fuck do you care? Right? So I don't know. I mean, that's one thing that I've tried to, like, keep in mind. It's like, oh, good for him. He met Kashiwagi Yuki. That's great. You know, if I cared about Kashiwagi that much, yeah, great. But I don't. I'd rather meet Kawai Arena, to be honest.
Or Maeda.
Yeah, or Maeda Ami or anybody. There's a million girls I would meet before Kashiwagi Yuki. So I'm not going to get jealous, or I'm not going to let it affect me. There is this, I don't know why, but I think there's always this initial, like, oh my god, he got to meet her? There's always that initial reaction, like, but then, you know, it's up to ourselves to, like, kind of step back, look at the situation and be like, wait a minute, is this really something I really need to be, like, that envious of? Mm-hmm. No, not really. But yeah, AKB.
Will you ever go to the AKB concert?
Yeah, I think I will. I think I will I think my biggest barrier is that there's nobody I care about right now. Well, there's nobody I care about right now, and there's no... it's at a point where, like, I don't understand how anybody could be into the NGT, STU, all this other, like, sister groups. Like, 'cause, you know, not because they're not good, but it's because I've been through this process before, right? So I was into AKB, I was excited, and then,
SKE
hey, here comes SKE, and I'm like, oh, who's this SKE? And there's the double Matsuri, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, who's this? And then they announced, like, NMB. I'm like, oh, shit, it's another group from Osaka now. We got these, you know, Osaka girls, and they're going to be more crazy. And, you know, there's Yamamoto Sayaka in here, and she's a new upcoming member. She's here to dethrone the queens. You know, and then, you know, she even got inserted into the, you know, AKB shows, and, right? And she broke into the top 10, and you're like, wow. And then HKT rolled around. I was kind of like, HKT, great. All right. You know, I found a couple members that I like. I like Mio, and I like Kodama enough. But then, you know, what do you, for somebody who's gone through it potentially like 3-4 times now. Yeah. I mean, and then don't forget, I went through the Nogizaka phase too. It's like, oh, look, the ultimate rivals to AKB. And, you know, just eventually gets to a point where it's, there's nothing they can do to surprise you. Or but AKB was great at one point. They shocked you in so many ways. Like early on, you got to remember, I'm into AKB, and they're like, hey, so, you know, besides all the, like, their sister group stuff, they were like, hey, so we're going to shuffle your groups. So all these members that you had gotten used to and loved, and you're like, I'm a Team B Oshi. Team B Oshi. Right? You were, like, super into that. And then they're like, fuck it. Team B is now a shadow of what it used to be. You liked all these other members? You better go follow them in Team A and Team K. Right? And you're like, oh, and it was devastating for us at the time. And then they were like, hey, we're going to have these elections, and you're going to vote on these girls, and you're going to have to see who gets number 1 and number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 5 and all these. And then they were like, hey, we're also going to have a Jonkin tournament. It's like, what? Right? Jonkin? And then, you know, and then they had, you know, Majiska come out, and they're like, you know, and then they had, like, Sakura no Shiori come out, and it's, like, going to be this loving, touching song that's, like, super emotional. And then they're going to have, like, the first bikini PV, and we're going to be having the girls running around in bikinis. You know, it was a whole bunch of firsts. And eventually, you know, they would be like, hey, now we're going to have another bikini PV. We're going to have another bikini PV. And, yep, we're going to have the election again this year. And we're going to have the Jonkin again this year. And we're going to have another drama again. And then they're like, oh, look, we're going to create a new team. It's Team 4. And you're like, okay. Okay. Yeah, cool. It's just how it is, man. I mean, like, you know, I imagine it's the same with, like, horror movies, right? Like when you've seen every single horror movie, you're kind of like, oh well, I mean, what? I'll see. I can't get scared anymore until like this crazy this crazy movie comes along and redefines the genre, and then you're like, oh, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's like when the Saw came out.
Yeah,
everybody's like, whoa, this is like a new fresh thing, and then they did like
Saw 8.
six other movies.
And then Paranormal Activity came out, right? And that was a big deal, right? Oh my God, it's so freaky. And then now there's Paranormal Activity 3 or like 4 maybe now. It's just how it goes. I mean, that's life. So thanks for listening. I don't know if this will get posted. I've been recording the whole time, so I'll edit this down and post it. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you later. Thanks, Andrey.
Bye.